Many rural and remote communities across Australia are looking for ways to do things differently. People are coming together in place to address problems like the closure or the withdrawal of essential services, or motivated to find new opportunities, particularly for young people in their community.
My pronouns are they, them, and I'm from Lion, Wangaratta. And Lion stands for LGBTQIA+ in the North East. And our community-led initiative is our Pride Hub project.
The name of our initiative is the East Gippsland Timber Milling Project. Our area was significantly impacted by the 2019-2020 bushfires.
I grew up in East Gippsland and moved away for about 15, 16 years, and then came back to East Gippsland, and I saw an opportunity to run an event. And not just in one town, but right across the region. I wanted to encourage people to come and visit and explore the region and stay a while.
Rejuvenate is a new way of connecting, guiding and supporting rural communities who want to bring to life an initiative that creates an opportunity or addresses a problem in a local community.
There are currently no incubator type programs or accelerator programs that sort of honour the intent of a community-led initiative. That's not just a business. Because we've got such demand for people wanting to do this stuff now from all over Australia, we thought, how do we actually support communities and those community leaders on that journey of wanting to take their idea to the next step, not from a sort of a charity sort of mindset, but more from that entrepreneurial mindset, to see that they could be solving an issue or creating a new opportunity that ultimately had a business model around it, so that it was sustainable and didn't sort of feed into that sort of volunteer fatigue that so many of these rural communities are experiencing right now.
Well, the dream started about 18 months ago. So we've opened our Pride Hub in February this year with some seed funding, and we're a few months in. We're starting to see some really great outcomes, but also starting to see things that could be improved and where the opportunities are within the project. A part of me doesn't know what we need to do to get to that next step, and I think that's what's really holding us back, is that what is it that we actually need to do? We can see what the problem is, we can see the opportunities. What is the actionable things that we can do that we have power over and influence over to take that next step?
We will be looking to outgrow the site where we are, and we feel we're at a real transition point. We need help to get it to the structure to a point where we can have employees and volunteers, not just relying on a few volunteers who might burn out doing lots of work.
Most of our resources was actually purchased by the Australian Lions Foundation, and it actually is owned and retained by them, but the project is allowed to utilise those assets. So we currently have 3 full complete milling operations. The challenge with having those assets is because they were donated by the Australian Lions Foundation, we can't, we couldn't sell anything to generate funds. In terms of the assets and the equipment, we wouldn't be able to do that because that's under their gifting guidelines, I guess.
The community feedback and response has been overwhelmingly positive, so we're continually blown away by it. It's a bit overwhelming sometimes. The first year we had 85 events on the program. We're all sort of shaking our heads going, how did this happen? Where did this come from?
My work increasingly is about capital innovation. This theme of needing to innovate how finance works to make it work for community enterprise and to make it work in rural and regional Australia is a fascinating one.
Volunteer fatigue was a big one that you're sort of noticing. Also funding and grant funding, and just the way that the systemic framework of funding works and how that actually hampers a lot of these organisations. So they're given funding, but they've got to use it in a very specific way, and that doesn't really meet their outcomes.
There's this lack of this early stage capital that's not looking for market returns, that's basically saying, hey, we trust you, you've got the connections in the community, you've got the community capital, let us give you some small stuff, no strings attached, just go out and do your thing, make this happen.
One of the reasons of many that I feel so connected with Acre and what you all are doing is I live a rural lifestyle myself. I'm 6th generation on our family farm. I've been practicing strategic doing since 2014. One of the things that I think that makes strategic doing so effective in this situation is it allows for adjustments to be made along the way. This methodology just gives a framework to something that we're all already doing, but it lines it all up so that you can put it in an order and get things actually done in your community.
But there's fear around asking for help and fear around asking the question of, do you know someone who could? Because the worst that can happen is the answer could be no.
LGBTQI+ people across regional Victoria and even in metro areas still experience disadvantage and negative health outcomes such as mental health, and we wanted to create this space where we can somehow mitigate those bad things that are happening.
It's exciting, there's people involved, there's partnerships starting to come around the edges. So I feel it's an exciting time, but we really want to get the structure right so we can go to that next level.
Hopeful that we can develop networks and understandings that will help us realise where we want to go to next.
Hearing about what their initiative is and where they're up to, I feel like there is so much we can learn from each other.
I think I'm feeling really inspired and hopeful. I think before coming into this, there wasn't a lot of clarity about our plan forward, but I'm sort of feeling now that through this process that hopefully we'll come out the other side with a bit more clarity and have a better plan on where we're going and how we're going to get there.
There's a huge responsibility, I feel, that communities are trusting us with their time. They've all put their lives on hold to trust in this idea that change can happen. And so I feel a little bit responsible at one level, but that's kind of tempered with excitement because you see these people and you just know they're going to go back to their communities and make stuff happen. No one's come here because they just want to learn something. They all want to turn that learning directly into action, and that's when it's exciting.